Hello everyone and welcome back to another Canadian Politics Explained video. And in today's video, we're going to be going over how the Liberals are now poised for a majority government according to the latest polls that have been released within the past 5 days. So the Canada poll tracker has been updated today, this morning actually, and they've added only one new poll, but it was updated a few days ago with two other polls from Global News and Ipsos and Campaign Research. So, as you can see by these polls, the campaign research one shows that the Liberals only had a 1-point lead over the Conservatives, but we're not going to be focusing too much on that one, but I still have it open right here. But these two are the ones that point to the Liberals having a huge advantage. This Abacus data poll showed that the Liberals had an 8-point lead over the Conservatives, with the NDP at 19%, the Bloc at 6%, the Greens at 6%, and other parties at 4%. The Global News poll shows an even bigger lead for the Liberals, with 40 for the Liberals, 30 for the Conservatives, so a total of a 10-point lead for the Liberals over the Conservatives. The NDP significantly lower at 13, Bloc at 9, the Greens at 5, and other parties at 3. So these numbers show how the Liberals have been able to expand their lead in the polls as of recently. So if I go up here and look at polling averages, they have been trending upward. Although it's only been a small upward trend, they have been trending upward since February. They have gone up about 1% nationally, but in Ontario, they've been going up as well, as the Conservatives have been going down. So since about March 31st, the Liberals have been on the rise in Ontario, which is where they need to win, obviously, in order to win a majority government, because they're already poised to make gains in Western Canada. They just need a few extra seats in Ontario and Quebec, maybe, in order to kind of consolidate enough seats for a majority government. So if I go to seat projections here, as you can see, when it was updated on the 12th, the Liberals were poised to win 81 seats. That's an increase of 3 from the last time it was updated, which was April 6th. Now they've gone down 1 seat to 80 seats, but that was still enough to push them over the threshold for a majority government. So last time this was updated, April 12th, this number was at 174. Now it's at 172. This is because of one loss in Ontario that I discussed before, as well as continued losses in the prairies, as you can see here. On April 6th here, 19 seats for the Conservatives, 6 for the Liberals, 3 for the NDP, and now it's meant to be 20 for the Conservatives, 5 for the Liberals, and 3 for the NDP. So the Liberals have been on a downward trend in the prairies, and now the Conservatives are projected to win 21, the Liberals 4, and the NDP 3. So the Liberals have been on a downward trend in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. However, another reason that they have been able to kind of cross this threshold for a majority government is Atlantic Canada. They've reached a high that they haven't really hit for a while, actually. They haven't hit it since February, where they're projected to win 29. And this is the same as it is now. Liberals with 29, the Conservatives with 3. So the Greens are projected to lose their seat to the Liberals, and the Conservative Party is expected to lose 2 seats. They currently hold 5, and the NDP are projected to lose the 1 seat they currently hold. This shows that the NDP have been going down in support. As I talked about in a previous video about 2 weeks ago, the NDP could probably win a maximum of 26 seats as of right now, unless something big changes. And this has gone down even more as they have been slipping in the polls in some of these more battleground ridings. The Bloc Québécois have been holding their strength in Quebec, and not much has changed there. Recently, as you can see, the last time the seat projection changed was back in March. However, if I go to polling averages, the Liberals have been experiencing a slight uptick, and the Bloc have been sliding a little bit, but it hasn't really changed too much since October of last year. So it's clear that Ontario is where the Liberals need to gain seats. In Alberta, they're projected to win 4 seats right now, taking 4 off the Conservatives. And this will kind of give them an extra boost because they need 13 seats to form a majority. This will give them 4. They're projected to make big gains in BC, gaining 6 seats here. So that gives them 10. So they just need to find 3 more elsewhere. They probably will not find them in the prairies, as you can see. So in the prairies, they're projected to keep the same number of seats they currently have, especially with their sliding support right now, at only 4 seats. And so that still leaves them at 10, so they need to find 3 more seats elsewhere. Well, where can they find them? Well, Ontario is the safest bet. Here, they're projected to gain only 1 seat right now, which makes them only need 2 more. Then Atlantic Canada puts them over the edge. With their current 26 seats, they need to gain, well, they're projected to gain 3 here, which puts them at this 172 number you have here. So, if I go in detail to some of these polls, for example, this one from Ipsos, this is the global news poll that put the Liberals ahead by 10%. You can see the province, how the voters in different provinces prefer the different parties. So in Alberta, for example, the Conservative Party are significantly ahead with 46%, but the Liberals are polling higher than they were last election with 25% of the vote in Ontario. And if I go here and open this, as you can see, no seats in Alberta were won by Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party, and now they're projected to gain support there, as they only won about 19% support there last election, and therefore won 0 seats, lost all the seats that they had. And also, as you can see here, the Liberals are in a commanding first place over the Conservatives in BC, as well as Atlantic Canada. BC is the main one where they need to gain seats, and they are projected to take a lot of seats off the Conservatives in BC, and the NDP are projected to kind of hold their current position. And that's basically the NDP stronghold, at least federally. In the prairies, as I said before, the Conservatives have a huge lead over the Liberals and NDP, and the Liberals aren't really expected to gain much support or many seats in those provinces. So, from this, it seems like, from this information here, we can learn that Liberal support is pretty evenly distributed among Canadians, at least nationwide, obviously, and it's not really it doesn't really depend on age or a gender. So as you can see here, the Liberals have a slightly larger lead among women, but they have a strong lead among 18 to 34-year-olds, and the NDP also have their strongest showing here. 35 to 54-year-olds are in a statistical tie between the Liberals and the Conservatives, and 55-plus-year-olds, so seniors, they're more likely to vote Liberal than Conservative. And this is one of the big problems for the Conservatives, as they need to gain support in this demographic in order to win in a lot of these contested ridings that they need to win in order to form a government next year, or even hold the Liberals to only a minority government whenever the election is. So if I go here and go back to 2015, when the Liberals won their majority government. So I've gone through this map before, so I'll only touch on it briefly. But the Liberal base of support is largely in Ontario. In 2015 and 2019, this stayed the same. So here, as you can see, they were able to win 80 seats in Ontario, and in 2019, they were able to win 79. So they need to maintain the support in Ontario. It would make it a lot easier for them to gain seats and form a majority government if they were able to gain at least a few seats in Ontario, because they are already projected to win more seats in BC than they currently have. Same in Alberta and Atlantic Canada, but they are still projected to make gains in Ontario as of right now, and that's why they have been tipped over the edge into majority territory. So if I go to this list of seats here, as you can see, there are a lot of toss-up seats in Ontario. So this one, Conservative seat, that's toss-up, currently leaning Conservative, but that could change at any moment. Here, a Liberal toss-up, so it's kind of evenly distributed, but the Conservatives do have significantly less safe seats and more leaning, not necessarily leaning, they have a fairly equal amount of leaning, but the Conservatives do have significantly more toss-ups that seem to be leading their way as of right now, at least. See, here's another independent seat, that's a Tory toss-up. Here are a few Liberal toss-ups, another Conservative toss-up, Conservative leaning. But as you can see here, there's quite a lot of solid red here. And the Liberals, this means that the Liberals are basically keeping their level of support, which they need to do in order to form a majority government. So the way for the Conservatives to come back from this is basically just to flip a lot of these Liberal-leaning seats, because there are enough of them to where the Conservative Party will be able to kind of flip the trend if they are able to gain 2 to 3% support in Ontario. But as of right now, this seems unlikely, especially with the new COVID cases in Ontario. So obviously, Provincial and federal politics are not the same thing at all, but they are interconnected. So as you can see here, Ontario has seen a rapid rise in COVID-19 cases. This is a new record for the third wave of deaths, of daily deaths at least, and they've reported 4,736 cases in the past 24 hours. Now this is a lot and has forced the government to call another lockdown, or not a full lockdown, but a return to some of the measures that were used earlier in order to stem the spread. But as soon as they were relaxed, the cases started going up again, and now they've had to reinstate some of these restrictions. And Doug Fort's government has become very unpopular because of this, because vaccinations have been slow for a multitude of reasons, including delayed shipments, lack of administering, and lack of a booking system, actually, as they started their online booking system for vaccines a lot later than other provinces did. But all in all, this has not been very good for Doug Fort's government, and will almost definitely hurt the federal Conservatives at least a little bit in the polls. We'll have to wait to see how much that'll impact it. But in Ontario, but this is what the Conservatives need in order to form a government, even. And right now, it's not looking good for them to gain the support they need to flip some of these liberal-leaning and toss-up seats. So here's another liberal toss-up. I'll just go through these. You can look at them maybe a little bit. See, there are a few more liberal toss-ups down here, but all in all, there's a pretty equal amount. The Conservatives have a few more toss-ups and leaning seats. But in order to flip the trend, the Conservatives need to gain support in Ontario and try and consolidate their support in Western Canada if possible, especially in BC. But that shouldn't really be a priority of theirs right now, because Ontario is where they have the most potential to gain the most seats. I'm not really focusing on Quebec too much because the Bloc seems to have a pretty solid base right now, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change too much. Like the Bloc is not going to lose many seats that they have right now, and the Liberals also have a fairly large amount of strength in Quebec that the Conservatives, enough so that the Conservatives will most likely not gain any more seats than they currently have, unless something big changes, obviously. So, all in all, if an election were called today, the Liberals would have a 50-50 chance of winning a majority and just winning a minority government. But they're pretty much guaranteed to win at least a government. They have a 93% chance of doing that, according to this tracker. However, the Liberals have a few ways they can gain some more support. For example, they can try and consolidate support that they had in March in the prairies, where they're projected to win up to 7 seats, maybe even in October, where they're projected to win 9. But they could definitely gain support here. Same in Alberta, they could probably increase the number of seats at least a little bit, but once again, probably not a priority of theirs. Their main one should be trying to consolidate their support in Ontario, and as I said before, the prairies is one of their best ways to gain seats if nothing much changes, which it doesn't seem to be, as in the past 6 months, really nothing has changed with these poll averages. At least nationwide. If anything, the Liberals have gained a little bit of support, but it hasn't been a major increase. But as you can see by seat projections, they've been kind of hovering around this majority threshold for quite a while, but this is the first time that they've kind of popped more than 1 or 2 seats above it, as here they're projected to win 174 seats, which is more than they have been projected to win ever since COVID-19 started here. And the Liberals gained a huge amount of support all across the country. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching today's video, and I'll see you all next time.